Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Witan. Now, for those of you who may not know, the Witan is the name of the royal advisors for early kings of England. They were eldermen, they were leaders of the church, they were soldiers, and they were really the advisory committee for the King of England. And as a very big fan of the TV show, The Last Kingdom, I uh, I wanted to have a name that was kind of synonymous with early Anglo history, and we had originally chosen Dan and I had originally chosen the name the Curia Regis, which was the uh, the later name. It was the Latin name that they had chosen when Charlemagne came over and took over in the Norman conquest. And sorry, that's what that's William. Charlemagne was France. Apologies, I'm tired. Um, after the Norman conquest in 1066, the Witan became the Curia Regis, and as I'm sure we're all aware, that whole thing did not end up very well. So we are rebranding, restarting, and tonight is the first Witan. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about a whole lot of different stuff. And let me go ahead and bring in our first guest, and hopefully a regular to the channel, Daimyo. What's
Hello,
up,
everyone.
man?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Not much. Let me Leslie Targan said, I just started watching Game of Thrones for the first time. I'm on episode 6 of season 2 now. I kind of like Tyrion Lannister, Daenerys, and Sam. Don't tell me what happens. Okay, hang on.
Oof, we maybe should
Season
not talk Game of
2,
Thrones.
episode 6. Uh they're beyond the wall. The Night's Watch is beyond the wall. I think does she say what's going on later? I don't want to be like an episode or two off.
I've
Does
watched
not
it
look
plenty
like.
of times, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
I wouldn't risk it.
yeah, I don't want to risk it. Leslie, you have an amazing she just said muted.
Am I muted?
No, I hear you.
No,
fine.
no. I think she's saying she muted, so she doesn't have to
Okay.
listen to
Okay.
it.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're not gonna risk spoiling anything. You have an amazing couple of
Oh, yeah.
days or weeks, however long it takes you to watch the show coming up. You're gonna absolutely love it.
Leslie, I take it you haven't started House of the Dragon yet? If you're just starting Game of Thrones?
While we wait on that, I see Spuds here, Crimson Law. Matt Risman was here, whether or not he's still here. Damien, you really should check with me when you start kicking people out.
He'll get over it.
What's House of the Dragon? Oh,
Wow.
man,
Yeah.
she just loves me today, don't she? Leslie, House of the Dragon is the prequel show to Game of Thrones that HBO started last year. It was believed that it was going to be the wokest piece of crap ever. And what we got was one of the greatest
Fantastic
things in TV probably in 15 years. Like it was better than probably 80% of Game of Thrones.
Spud comment. Now you've done it. Open the
Yep.
can of worms.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So, real quick here, I love how I made my thumbnail. Well, I guess the thumbnail here, which is also what the background is, because right in between Daimyo and myself is the Sword of Swords, the most infamous, the most powerful, the most famous sword ever written, whether fictional or not, Excalibur. I just saw that. I was like, I really love that. That's how it worked out like that.
One There's an argument that it was a real sword, right? If I'm mistaken.
So that's the thing.
I was gonna say it's kind of dual, right? Like it's a sort of fiction and a sort of reality, right?
So the question becomes, how real is the legend of King Arthur? And there's a lot that we don't know if it's real. There probably was some sort of King Arthur, but it wasn't it's not what we think of when we think of the tale of
Sure.
King Arthur. There were no Knights of the Round Table.
Merlin. Well, Merlin was a figure in history, correct? I actually haven't looked too much into this.
I don't believe so.
He's a figure of myth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because the whole Artorias legend is that well, what's funny is there's multiple, because there's the full-on magical legend, which is Arthur pulled the sword from the stone after Merlin enchanted the rock and the sword, and then became the king of Camelot, and had to lost his life fighting against Morgana and defeating her, all that stuff. Basically what that show Merlin is.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got kind of the more historical one, which the 04 movie with Clive Owen kind of tried to tell. Like, most of the movies that come out about Arthur lean more on that legend, like First Night, even Excalibur itself kind of leans more on
That was the newer one
historical.
with
No, so Excalibur is the 1970 movie. That's
I'm thinking of the latest King Arthur remake
that travesty.
with John Hamm. I don't know. Wait, not John Hamm.
It's
Charlie Hamill.
yeah,
right?
Charlie Hamill, and
I didn't watch it, so I didn't know.
it's not good. The only semi good thing about it was it took a right turn at the magic, and like it like really went into magic. It was one of the first like Arthur movies to really go into the magic.
Did you
For
watch?
quite a while.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you watch The Green Knight?
I did not know.
I know that doesn't follow specifically King Arthur.
No, so The
But it
Green
does
Knight is
follow
based
the
off of
tale, right?
it's based off a tale about I believe Sir Gawain, who was one of the Knights of the Round Table that went and he had to go challenge this mystery knight shows up and basically issues a challenge to the court. And Gawain basically takes up the challenge to go defeat him, and he has to go through on a quest. I didn't hear very good things about it.
I didn't either. I was talking about it with a few people earlier this week, and I actually said that exact thing, that a friend of mine that showed me a lot of the movies I love didn't say good things about it, so I figured I would just wait until I see it on a streaming service, which I haven't yet. I haven't really
I
sought it
think
out.
it's on
It's on Tubi, I know that.
Prime.
For free?
I think so.
I'll look. Maybe, I mean, it's, if you're just Googling if it's on Prime, most movies they'll say yes, but you have to rent them.
I don't think so. Um, yeah, no. If you have to rent them, it'll say from $3.59. No, it's not on Prime. It's
Okay.
you can rent it, but it's not on Prime. It's not on anything. Um,
Yeah.
I do see that Aaron Kellyman is in it.
Who?
This chick, the redheaded
I'm looking it up.
uh
Oh, you pulled it up.
lady that they trot out
I
for.
hate that
Yeah,
actress. I'm sorry.
yeah. I'm really tired
Mo-
of seeing her.
I know. I mean, mostly, and I don't know how she got into these major like IPs like Star Wars.
Seriously, you know?
Is this
I mean, I don't want to say it, but come on, we know how it happened.
say it then?
I
Because
didn't say that shit. It's not
I'm
early
not,
enough. I mean,
I'm
it's not
not
late enough.
following.
I'll say we'll come back to that in like after it's been like 2 hours
Okay.
and YouTube justified the last 2.5 hours.
Um,
Uh, but yeah, I mean,
I hated her role in Solo.
yeah, Solo, Falcon and Winter
I was good.
Soldier.
Yep, that was the other one I was going to
She
say.
was
I
in
mean,
Willow.
she's typecast as like the diversity hire.
She's the redhead. Yeah, she's the redhead diversity. So that
Yeah.
because
She's very strong.
Hollywood kept removing redheads and casting black actors and actresses. And so she keeps
Both.
getting tried out to be a redhead and black.
I was going to say both, but I didn't know if that was two on the nail. Oh,
Both,
that's so
no,
funny.
it's 100% both.
That's so
I don't
funny.
know.
Um,
Okay, so let's we actually got a couple of stuff to talk about tonight. We're not just gonna rant about a bunch of dumb shit. So I was kind of hoping Graber would show up for this because I think he'd really like this. But we're all kind of sick and tired of the direction that Star Wars is going. And anyone that was here, what was it, 2.5 weeks ago? When actually 2 weeks ago, when at the end of Ahsoka, when we all hopped on here and just started yelling about it. Anyone that was here knows how we feel about Star Wars right now. So the question becomes, what do you do when an IP that you really like is just heading to the trash can?
well, for me, it's pay with your wallet.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, I am kind of stuck with Disney Plus
And it's
because
not even Disney Plus.
of how much stuff they have on it.
I'm at the point where I'm keeping Disney Plus for old IPs and movies that
Mhm.
I want to watch, and we've discussed this before. So, old Spider-Man movies, the old Marvel movies, they're right there. It's too easy to just turn them on when you want to watch them. But doesn't necessarily mean because whether or not Disney puts out their viewers and viewer numbers directly, they definitely look at them, right? And
Yeah,
so paying with my wallet in this sense for Star Wars means not watching anything but the original two trilogies. And
yeah,
I think we went over this at one point, but they went from, so like about a year ago, they had all of the Disney stuff first right in front of your face, highlighting it for the movie section. And now it's all of George Lucas's stuff at the front, right? And
yes,
so when
yeah,
you see where I'm getting at, right?
hmm
So they definitely looked at the numbers and were like, like I would think that, and they said, you know what, people are definitely like scrolling past all this stuff, and they're going to the first six movies. Let's just put those at the front. And where I'm going with this is that I'm at such a broken place with Star Wars that I don't even want to waste my time like watching any of the new stuff anymore. Like all the projects they have announced right now, maybe I'll check out Bad Batch, but I didn't even I didn't even finish the second season. It's not, and I'm just saying in turn, like I'm not even interested in watching that. It's just something that I might. People say it's like, oh, it's good. I'll just like hate watch it in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what about you? Like
So
the movies, I'm definitely not going to go see in theaters if they're even made.
So this thing, first off, if they end up making a Jedi movie, I'll go see it. 100%. I will 100% go see it. It was they when they announced it, it was probably the most excited I'd been about a Star Wars thing in like 2.5 years. I would love to see an a movie about the origins of the Jedi. But do I have faith they do it well? No. Now the question was, what do we do when uh what do we do about Star Wars? What's great is this is a fandom that doesn't have to rely on Disney to produce stuff. We already have stuff. And I have been delving into the EU, as you know, and I have just finished about 4 hours ago. I finished the second book in the Darth Bane trilogy. And what I would genuinely love to see is uh I forget how to say his name. How you say the last name for the guy that wrote that?
Oh, dude, I'm horrible with like the look. I've only read two trilogies out of the EU.
True Carpesian.
Yeah,
I would love to see him write a script and make that into a trilogy.
doesn't the
Because
author?
or maybe maybe more of a two-parter, because the second book, there's not enough in the second book to make a full movie. So I'll when I finish the third book, I'll know if
You know
you'd
that
have to stretch the second one or what. But that first book, I know you said you were rereading it. That
I
first
actually
book,
pretty much just finished it. I
yeah,
have maybe
it
two
is
chapters left.
so good.
Yeah, it's I'm on my second read through of this story, and it's not one of those stories where you pick up on like more and more details, but it's just so I guess invigorating, or
Yeah.
like you really fall into a trance. At least for me, like dude, like there are some parts where I get shivers, like
Hmm.
listening. And I mean, I think you're correct. I think it might make a better two-parter than it would a trilogy. I was actually thinking about that during my reread through right now. And at first, I was going to push back with the second book. I mean, you probably could figure out how to maybe stretch certain scenes,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think a two-parter or even just a trilogy would work just fine. The second part might not be as strong as the first, but you could do it in a way too where you cut off maybe right at the two-thirds of the way through, so like right after the battle, or right after the thought bomb, and you don't really stretch into the second, the last couple chapters, because once they do the thought bomb situation or scene, like that would make a good cliffhanger. You don't
Yeah,
have to
and
do the last
then
few chapters after.
if I was gonna write that, I would cut it as they were, um, as Khan basically recognizes that General Hoth is there, and then I would pick up with them slicing down everyone and then him just releasing the thought bomb. Uh,
Right, I mean that's in my mind that's a perfect
yeah,
like ending to a movie.
and then I think I'd probably drag out finding what's her name a little
Xana.
bit. Zena?
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I hate her.
I don't have like a strong like hatred or love for that character.
Mhm.
I think
Though
she
she
suits the
is
character.
better than the chick from the first book. Um,
Githany.
yes. Oh, dude, when she
Yeah.
died, I cheered.
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean, I
so
wanted her to
happy.
die so bad the first time I read it as well.
She's so annoying.
Yeah, she really was. But you know what? Look, you have to. The, I mean, this is a really big issue with Star Wars right now. Is the Force is female, right? The EU does such a good job of, in a right way, empowering women, like the correct
Mhm.
way. They do it not force feeding you, but they build characters that are strong, right? Like
Yeah.
without like saying like you need to accept this. They'll just write these characters that intertwine in the story the way like naturally, but you're not left with this like sour taste like oh you just wanted to make
Oh yeah, no.
you know what I'm saying?
What's her name definitely works in the story. She works
Xana
really
or
well.
Githany?
Githany.
I'd
She
say
works.
both of them.
Yeah, I hate her, but she works perfectly in that story.
Oh man, by I'm not going to spoil anything, but by the end of the third book, you're going to hate Xana too.
I'm not. I'm not shocked. So the thing that bugs me is she's had like two great opportunities to kill Bane and hasn't. And it's like if the whole thing
It's
is,
part of the story.
yeah, yeah. But if the whole thing is you, I'm still not on the rule of two, bro. I still think it was
I
a
know.
bad decision.
I know,
Um,
but okay, give me your
so
rundown.
real quick, I want to hit something that Crimson Law said. Bro, the Acolyte has zero chance of success. So here's the thing. I agree, but in the same sense that I was sitting um in the lunchroom of my high school the day after uh Obama's second election. And we were or no, I think it might have been election day. And my I was sitting across from my best friend and we were telling jokes to each other. And the principal walked in and was like, "Oh, y'all telling jokes? Give me a joke." And I said, uh, "Well, I just heard on the news today that Barack Obama is expected to get out to an early lead, and then when the Republicans get off work, Mitt Romney will eventually win." Um, and we all kind of laughed, and he looked at me and he's like, he's if Obama wins, Obama has the chance to be the greatest president ever. And I had to think about that for a second because he was right. He had the chance because there's so much he could have done. He had a complete control of Congress. He had everything. He had a mandate, and there's so much he could have done, but didn't. And it's like Acolyte's got a shot. Acolyte has the chance of being. How many times have people asked for a Sith story?
Uh,
It's got the chance to blow us out of the fucking water. It's not going to. I don't think it will. It is going to make people hundreds of thousands of dollars grifting.
it's
But it it has definitely got the shot.
I don't think it has the shot. I think that ship has sailed, especially when you think about the headrunner.
So this is the thing. And if Law follows up with Heaven's fucking interview shows exactly how
Thank
well
you.
it's going to go. You're right. But let's all rewind to a year and 14 weeks ago when we started hearing interviews from the showrunners and the actresses of House of the Dragon. And we all thought this is going to be shit. This is going to be the most woman empowering, destroy the patriarchy shit that we have ever seen. And was it?
No, but that also was not the same.
Right,
They're not the
right,
same
right. I
company.
agree. I agree.
Like,
It's just one of the it's the same reason why
to
when Annabeth for the Percy Jackson show was race swapped, I now have to take a step back and go, okay, well, it's usually a sign of things to come, but we have a really good example of a race swap character that blew it out of the fucking water
well,
in Corlys Valerian.
we like
So you've got to. We now have seen. Granted, it is only one show, but we do now have an example of basically hearing all the wrong things and then seeing all the right things.
so my pushback to this is that Rings of Power was an atrocity.
Yep. Yep.
The race swap itself,
Mm-hmm.
those the actress and the actress of the dwarf queen and the elf, that was one of the big kind of media points,
Mm-hmm.
and that actress and actor weren't bad, like in terms of like doing their job, but the
Right.
show
Yeah.
was just so awfully done, and the story was awfully done that it added fuel to the fire. I'd say that they it's a different animal comparing these different IPs, right?
High on hopium. I'm gonna have to remember that. So Crimson, you gotta remember Jon Stewart was an established character prior to the Justice League cartoon. There wasn't a race swap. So it was just a different Green Lantern they used. Hal Jordan was the original Green Lantern of Earth. And then after he proved that humanity could do it and the Guardians stopped being so, let's say, specious, Jon Stewart became the second Green Lantern. Then there was, let's see if I get this right. Guy Gardner's the fourth. Kyle something, I think is his name. Kyle Rayner. Kyle Rayner was the third Green Lantern from planet Earth, and then Guy Gardner was the fourth. And Guy Gardner is now black. I mean, gay. He wasn't always, but he is now.
Look, I just
But
think
yeah, so I'm just a little clap back.
we can't judge. I don't think we can. Just because House of the Dragon worked out doesn't mean that these other shows will, in my opinion.
Which is correct. But I do think we now have to give it the chance that we gave House of the Dragon.
Well,
because everything coming out of that camp prior to that first episode was just about everything we're hearing from Leslie Headland and company.
And this goes to the broader point that we were making before, like what do you do with Star Wars now? And I'm going to go back to what I'd said with like paying with your wallet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell me, you can give it the chance and tell me if it was worth it or not. I'm at the point with Star Wars where I'm just going to start looking at things like the Bane trilogy, other books.
Yeah.
Dark Disciple, I think, is one of them. And the new Jedi Order. And we've got all this other content that I'd rather just sit there and read and listen to than give them a viewership, right? So yeah, like I'm kind of more jaded in that sense where I'm pretty much done with watching these episodes. I'm not going to stay up late. I did it for Ahsoka for a few episodes. I stayed up late. Not worth it.
Stayed up late. It came out at 6:00.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
You're thinking Amanda.
Yeah. Exactly. That I did do. I stayed up for a few episodes, and then halfway through, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But you get my point. It's like I and look, all more power to you if you can do that. If you're like, I'm gonna sit there even if I don't like it, and I'm gonna watch these episodes week by week. I'm kind of done. Like I don't really need to. I guess I'll check out a few maybe a week later, but I'm not gonna sit there and be one of the numbers that they can rack up. Like, look, the first episode did this amount of views. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you saw how poor Ahsoka did. Like, and there's been multiple channels that covered the fact that Ahsoka had a certain amount of, they were up here, and then by the end of the show, the viewership was down here. So I don't want to contribute to that at all. Like,
Yeah. No, I get that, and I'm at the point where I'm in a similar place. Fucking hell. Similar. Jeez. Sorry, it's late. Where I'm at the place where I'm in a similar place, and I'm just kind of like, what's the point of watching it when I know it's going to be bad? But it is still this world that I really love, and it's hard. It's hard to say goodbye.
you don't have to say
My
goodbye. I mean,
God,
you're doing
that's a TLC song, isn't it?
no, but like you're not saying goodbye. I think you're kind of opening the first door that like so I was in the place of I was in that thought process of what you just explained about a year ago, like 2 years ago when I first read Heir to the Empire and was just so like that's why I'm diving in now like into more like EU stories and wanting to read more from there than sit here and be pissed off every time I watch a new Star Wars show. Like I don't think like someone that like come on, were you happy watching Ahsoka? Like were you happy watching Mando season 3?
3? No. Ahsoka. Um, let's say there were 100 minutes of Ahsoka. I think I was happy for 45 of them, maybe 40.
And that's I guess the difference between you and I honestly felt nothing through every episode. Okay, other than like just seeing Anakin on screen, but like I guess you could say accounted for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but still there was this underlying like, why is he in this show? Like I would
Yeah.
have been more impactful if he was a Force ghost appearing to Ahsoka to give her last lesson, not like this world between worlds dream where you
Well,
get all these flashbacks.
okay, I have a question, Star Wars question. Um, how do you identify a Padawan Twilight or what and whatever she is?
How do I? Sorry, what's the question?
So you identify a Padawan human by their braid. How do you identify a Padawan Twilight or whatever
She
she is?
has that little necklace
Is that
chain
what it is?
thing. I think that is it.
Is she still wearing it?
No, I think she takes that. I think she takes that off in the Clone Wars, if I'm not mistaken. But
Okay.
I don't think there's a scene where you see her with
Mm.
it. I could be wrong. I've only watched the Clone Wars through like maybe 2 times, 3 times.
Yeah, because
Um,
what I would have preferred that whole thing. I liked it, but I would have preferred it being more of a recognition of her no longer being a Padawan.
Yeah, I mean that is a good question. We don't really see many Twi'lek Padawans, but I'm pretty sure that the chain wrapped
Mhm.
around her I forget the name of
The big tail.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that yeah, the left handle is
Oh my god.
I was wondering if you were gonna get that.
No, no, the
Um,
right handle. The left handle is the
yeah,
brake, dude.
you're right.
You want the right handle.
But yeah, I don't know if they've never really explained that. But yeah, look, I just think it wasn't impactful. I think it felt more like just nostalgia bait.
Hmm.
It's and I'm kind of getting tired of the use of that with, I mean, okay, seeing Luke and Mando season 2 was fucking insane.
But it also wasn't nostalgia bait because it was that he was there for a reason. Now,
Yes, but
all
it
of it
feels
gets
more like
ruined because of Book of Boba Fett.
it
But
feel but that's kind of what I was going to interrupt you for, is that it's after the repetition and all the other things we've gotten,
mhm,
it diminishes that
yeah,
special feeling we got seeing him for the first time. Does it not?
there's only one piece of nostalgia bait that does not diminish, and it is every time that you see the 1964 Aston Martin DB5 in a James Bond movie.
Wait, but that's a complete different IP.
Right, right. But I was talking about nostalgia bait, and my point is that Disney's using it way too much.
I see what you're saying with
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's
There's only one nostalgia bait out there that does not diminish, and it
yeah,
is as good the first time as it is the 80th
I
time.
see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
And you know, we got that atrocious Obi-Wan series that brought back, not, Vader.
We got a series about Kenobi.
Exactly. But you see what I'm saying with this is, like, we got not only Vader but Anakin too. So by the time this show rolls around, it I was just like, why? Like, I don't really want to see him anymore. Like,
Well, and that's one of the problems that uh the what do you call it? That the pandemic had on all this stuff is all of this stuff has been done. Like almost everything we're getting from Disney has been done for like 2 years. And they just kept pushing back or delaying or slowing down or reshooting or redoing this. And it's like, look, the reason one of the big reasons a lot of this stuff is crap is because you've had 19 different people in charge of it. You have 8 different visions and no one knows what's going on here.
okay, but it's been the Ahsoka show was Dave's vision, Dave's control,
Yeah, well, as we
100%
found out like last week, Dave wrote like 20% of that entire thing.
of the show.
Yeah.
See, I actually didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I think EBN talked about it on the last Star Wars one
In
they did.
terms of like dialogue or actual story
I
plot?
think story.
I'd have to look into that more. I'm inclined to think differently.
Matt, if Matt was in here, I'm sure he'd be able to tell us.
That's my fault.
That's what you have to ask.
Um,
But yeah, look, this is the problem with a movie company making TV.
okay, so if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a question. If in a perfect world, do you really see, in terms of the state that we're in with Hollywood, is there really a studio that they could license out to do justice for the Bane trilogy as a movie if it
Yeah,
wasn't under Disney? You
yes,
really think there's a studio
yes,
that
I
could
do.
handle that?
I think there are two. There are two studios out there that uh, have done pretty well with like doing well in their stories, and it's Warner and Apple TV.
Apple TV, I could see they just made that Bonaparte movie. Well, it's not out yet, but they
Dude,
haven't made
that
it.
thing,
I'm pretty excited for that.
I am
I'm
stoked.
I'm pretty excited for that.
Dan, I think that's going to be my way of getting Danny back here because he's a huge Napoleon guy.
I would love to talk on a stream once that movie comes
Yeah,
out.
and I think I'm going to try to say, look, I need you. I want you to put. I will pay for your hour. I will tell your fiance that you are giving legal advice. Um, this is 50% of a good stream. Well, whatever 50%. Okay, better than 10%.
Hey, Star Wars dog. Can I time out the Gray Pilgrim?
No, because he's got such a good name on here. If he was still Darth Melkor, maybe.
Okay.
If he was still Darth Melkor, maybe. But
Um,
what's up, dog? I know you are out of town. If you are free, though, feel free to hop in. I dropped the link in Discord.
but yeah, you know, so I think that's actually a good studio. Warner Brothers, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. They're still pretty, they do some pretty, you know, they're
So
not based, that's for sure.
maybe I would go from Warner to HBO.
HBO, if they did like, they're not really known for doing
But they
movies, right?
do make movies.
Dude, I actually would be okay with a series. Like if HBO is doing it, I would be 100% okay with.
So I'm thinking. Okay, again, I haven't finished the third one, but that first book I think would be an entire 8-10 episode series.
Yeah, easily.
Uh,
I think the second book they could make that work as well.
you think the second book could be 8 seasons? I mean 8 episodes?
Yes. So I don't know if you were in Discord. We were talking about. It was pretty late. I don't know if you were actually there, but we were talking about how the topic was 1-to-1 ratios of a book. No, you did comment on that. That like, and I actually agreed with you where it it depends on the story
Oh yeah,
and things like novels like Harry Potter doing a 1-to-1 ratio for a movie doesn't really work because you'd end up with this 8-hour movie.
right.
But for a television series, you really could like condense 2 chapters, so it's what 32 chapters for the first book. Yeah, I mean you could make
I mean the second one is 20 chapters, I think.
is it?
It's not long. Anderson read it in like 8.5 hours.
Yeah, but you could like I was saying before, you could stretch out certain chapters and make scenes a little bit longer, add to them, add background to certain things, without bastardize without ruining the chapter. You could add to it as long as you're not changing the storyline, and that was kind of the
Real
argument.
quick, I'd like to welcome one of Daimyo's exceptions.
Not true. Hey, buddy.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up,
Hello
y'all?
there.
You came perfect timing. I need a bathroom.
Darth Bane.
Yeah. I kind of gathered that that's what y'all were talking about there for the last little bit.
It's a party looking
Heck
motel.
yeah. It's not bad. The Hampton Inn was full. But so y'all were saying if there were somebody that could do the series,
So would you
I would probably
do a
have to agree
trilogy of
HBO.
movies? Would you do a trilogy of movies or a 2 or 3 season TV show?
Per book, like 2 seasons?
No,
Mhm.
so a trilogy of movies or a 2 to 3 with the first book getting, because I haven't gotten the third one. I haven't done the third one yet, but the second one, I don't think there's enough in the second one for a full season.
Yeah. I would
Now the
do
third one,
3 movies.
you do 3 movies.
Yeah,
That
man.
first movie would be some effing cool shit right there.
They would blow your pants off for sure.
Like I'm sitting here thinking,
The
I
Sith
actually think-
Academy, just oh my god,
No,
I actually think the part
bro.
of that I would like the most is him as a soldier. I think that would be
Oh, that
such
would
a
be with the
cool part.
Yeah, with the loom walkers. Hell yeah.
And see, I'm kind of thinking of. I'm so happy he's not here because he never talked to me again. But I'm kind of thinking of the soldier part of Solo. I'm thinking if you get that,
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
but
I'm,
in like
I'm gonna tell Star Wars Marvel purists you said that.
but in like a much bigger
Spectacle.
yeah,
Well, just
where Bane doesn't look like a fool, which is what Solo looked a little like a fool.
Because you could do more than like you could do the whole Kashyyyk thing where they were dropping him from the trees, and he could somehow
you could do
like his
flashbacks
spider senses were tingling, and
you could do
yeah,
flashbacks to the battle on the moon that went bad.
yeah.
That
Dude, they could do so much good stuff, but I think it would have to be a show, or I'm sorry, a movie. I think you could do a show if it was done right, but one, fuck waiting every single week. Sorry, I don't know if you want to swear, but never mind waiting every single week for a new episode.
Oh, dude, I heard fuck Wade. What happened?
Do you want me to time him out?
He's not even in here.
Hey, Dog, to your point right there, we were discussing that, like, I think it's possible to make a movie, and I would enjoy a movie, but with the story like Bane trilogy, like with the Bane trilogy, that would make waiting the anticipation for every week would be so hyped. I mean, you would, depending on how they do it with the cliffhanger every week, you would be sitting. I know, I see your face, but like that's the draw.
No, but there'd be filler. It would.
But that was the argument we were making. That depending on the studio that does it, you don't have to do these filler episodes. You could really There's enough substance in the story where you could have 8
in that
banger
first
episodes.
book. The only filler I could really see that. Are you being questioned by the police?
No, I was just moving this around.
Okay. The only some of the only filler I could actually see happening in that first book is more in depth on what his father was like.
They don't need to.
No, I think.
Yeah, we got the point.
The first episode.
I think you'd end up seeing 1 or 2 beatings more than you need to. And then
I hope you die.
I think the Sith Academy would go longer than it needed to.
No, that was my favorite part of the book.
Sith Academy was sick.
I'm saying is, I think we get to the point where it'd be like, I think we should have moved on by now.
They could knock that out.
Oh, like if they were to follow the McCurth for too long or some shit for no payoff because Bane's just going to kill him.
Remind me.
The McCurth, it's like a Trandoshan, the reptilian. It's the one that Bane crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, look, you could do that in 2 episodes.
But what I'm saying is there could be a filler episode following an individual from the Sith Academy, and that could be an issue.
I think his force block would probably last.
I still hear you though.
A half episode longer than it needed to.
Force block. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
the force constipation.
That's the kind of stuff that
I agree with.
I think is only going to annoy such a small amount of the people that would watch it that I think I would take it. I think I would take being annoyed that, okay, we didn't need this. This was too much, guys. To get HBO to do that,
it shows that what you're talking about, like, there are things that were dragged on, but what's important about the Academy is his learning his distrust and coming to the realization that the Brotherhood of Darkness were going down the wrong path and becoming too dogmatic and similar to the Jedi. That's the whole point of showing that, is that he was starting to realize and getting into situations with Cordis that they are, and his study of the archives, he learned that, this isn't the true nature of the dark side, and they're closer to the Jedi than they are the Sith. And him
Right.
going on his kind of vision
The
quest,
bastardization.
the bastardization, right?
Yep.
And going on his vision quest to figure out that even though he didn't
Into
find
the old
anything,
tombs, down that valley.
oh, dude, it was so good, dude. And when he comes
the
back,
fucking
Picture it in your head.
with the hellhounds, or what did he call them?
I forget what they were.
So,
but they're basically like hellhounds.
I gotta stop us because any time this is brought up, I have to stop and talk about it. The inheritance cycle made exactly like the books would work and could be huge. So that's the thing. Disney owns the rights to the inheritance cycle, and they are apparently in the works of making a TV show about it. Well, while Christopher Paolini is writing it or helping write it, the wife of or the husband of Jennifer Sulke, Zach Sulke, is the showrunner, and he's also the showrunner for Percy Jackson. So if you want to know if Inheritance Cycle will be good, just watch Percy Jackson. Like I was saying earlier, I don't necessarily think that the race swapping Annabeth is a huge issue, but we will see. To explain what a big deal them failing the inheritance cycle will be. The 7 blades in the background are 5 of probably the most important blades in all of mythological fantasy. One is from a video game, and one is from Harry Potter, and mostly just because I wanted to put Harry Potter in there. And the Sword of Godric Gryffindor was suggested by our great friend Daimiep, and so that's why it's in there. Had I not been able to find, or had I been able to find a good version of Brisingr, which is Aragorn's sword, it would have replaced Harry Potter, because the inheritance cycle to me is my favorite piece of fantasy. And so if they fuck this up, the channel will cease to be a
what we love about
entertainment channel and will become a death to Zach Sulke channel.
That's funny.
But there was one other thing. Pilgrim said a good Bane film based on the first book would have to be at least 3 hours. I agree.
Yes, I agree.
But we spoke.
That's my Bane.
Yeah. So my only issue with that Bane is he got horns on him, and never mentioned anything about
the Orbalisk.
Okay,
the Orbalisks are like freaking like worm
beetles.
They're like beetles. They're crustaceans.
They're not.
They're like trilatites and trilamites.
They don't form different things to shoot out of you.
I agree. The spikes are a little much, but
it is a good
without
the phantoms of the Dark Lords.
I want to quickly I want to quickly get your guys' point on this or perspective on this to what Grey Pilgrim's saying. So there's a way they could do this full story as a trilogy, and if they end the first movie on the fight between Kazim,
the thought bomb. Oh
no, the thought. So they could end this story at Kazim and him traveling to
the
Rusan.
temple.
Yeah, so they end it with him crushing down crushing the temple down on Kazim, and the movie
that
ends
fight
with
would
him.
Be so epic.
I know, but they could end the movie with him landing on Rusan, and the movie starts with the him manipulating the Brotherhood of Darkness. They do, and basically the first kind of quarter of the movie is the thought bomb, and then they carry it on. So they don't have to do it book by book, but they could kind of end 2/3 of the way through. and that's a
I
way
mean,
to do it as a trilogy. But
I see why they did it with the book, because it was lining up Rain and Xana for the next one. So it was like this story is going to continue, and this is how. Uh, yeah,
I like it.
I want to come back to the show versus movie thing. So
All right.
if current day uh, cinema and Hollywood and entertainment was not the way it is, I would say a show 100%. But working in what we know from TV shows currently and movie potential currently, I would be more comfortable with movies right now, because I think the attention and everything else can be put into it. I think with a show, you get less talented people taking on these shows, and they're just not produced with the same quality, especially with Star Wars currently.
So, in this world, we're kind of in the world we're living in this conversation. They've licensed out Bane, so this isn't Disney doing it.
Well, yes, but I mean, just showrunners in general. I mean, there's only a handful of shows that we can name off that are being done right, and every episode is like it should be, especially with something with this kind of source material.
Mhm.
And I don't know if there's a parallel to this, like a show that's based on something with such a deep story that's already told, but I don't. It's like it gets TVified. Like it's less impactful. It carries less weight because it's a TV show now.
Well, that's why I think it would need to be HBO.
well, and I want to add too. We started this conversation like if in a perfect world, if they did it 1-to-1.
Right. Well, perfect world. It should be a show, because you can. I mean, hell, you could do 15 episodes of just nothing but good shit.
Right, and I think.
And how satisfying will it be? Because look, at the end of the day, this is going to happen. The questions are going to be who's going to be making it, and will it be a movie or TV show? But eventually, we're going to get Darth Bane's story on the screen.
I beg to differ.
You don't think we'll ever get?
No, because I think it's too dark of a story. Disney owns the rights, and
that's why it'd be so perfect.
I know, and that's why in a perfect world we would see it, but we don't live in a perfect world. It's too dark. It's centralized around an evil person. Let's be honest. Bane's not a good person, and they just wouldn't. I was thinking about this earlier this week. The only way that they would possibly do this story is through the eyes of the Jedi, and he is I know that would, but that
General
is the
Hoth?
But that is the only way that they would
like
do
General
it.
Hoth?
I liked him, but it's a Bane story. Like I liked his character, but
or
like
Farfalla,
it is a Bane story.
like no.
Like they would have to.
The thing is, at the end of the second book, all those Jedi are dead. So there's no one. There's no one to continue. I haven't read the third one, but
to continue pursuing him.
There isn't a POV in the first,
You're
second, and third book that
they completely diverge. Even then, it's not like, even all throughout the second book, like he's not really on the radar like at all.
Yeah,
they only hear whispers
when green lightsaber guy finds out.
Yep.
This is one of the so I've been asked several times, should I read the book? Should I get the Audible and all that kind of stuff? And I always say,
Audible
really
for
good.
Sure.
And I'm not just talking about the Bane trilogy, but just any stories.
Mm-hmm.
While Audible does a really good job, and they have really good readers, the Roy DeTroyce that does the Song of Ice and Fire, Drew Anderson that did the Bane trilogy, the guy that does
What?
the Inheritance Cycle, Andy
It was
Serkis has
Jonathan
done-
Davis did the Bane trilogy.
So, Caleb, I want to comment on that. You like, I
Well,
think
he
you're
wasn't
hang on
done.
one second. So
Yeah, he wasn't done.
the only problem with doing Audible is there is a need when you have stories that have multiple characters to see those names, because eventually you lose track of names. And that 100, I mean, I had to stop a couple times and remind myself who the main Sith Lord was.
Who's going back and forth?
Yeah, who's the Blade Master? There was a lot of I need to sit
Well, their
down.
names are similar too. It takes a second to figure out. Yeah,
So and
I feel you
obviously
there.
in stories where it's like Lannister
But the
and
production,
Stark, well, that's very
amazing.
easy. But when you've got Star Wars names are weird.
Yeah.
Except for
Yeah,
Caleb.
Kasim.
Shut up. It's Khalib, by the way. It's not Caleb.
Well, it's Khalib. It's
Khalib.
Khalib or Caleb and Caleb Jars.
So what I was going to say is I actually think you're correct in terms of audiobook versus like a hard copy. I would say I actually am happy I listened to the Bane trilogy over reading it. But with Heir to the Empire, I actually am very happy I read the books before I listened to them. I felt that, and the production's actually a little bit higher for Heir to the Empire. But with the Bane trilogy, I think, it was written by two different people. I just enjoyed more the imagination of Heir to the Empire. Whereas I liked listening to the setting like being built up with Bane. But for the most part, I agree with you.
Yeah.
The picture that was painted of the mining colony on Apatros was fucking awesome. Like I could see it. And I mean, I've only ever listened to the audiobooks, but for me, well, one, I've listened to them multiple times, but I feel like I got a good, like I didn't really learn much more on the second listen through, but yeah, just the sound effects and the music
dude,
when you hear Anakin's dark deeds start playing, when he's talking, I hope you die, I hope you die, I hope, you're like, oh my god, get him.
So the only time I got annoyed with the sound effects was
the training sabers.
When?
Yeah, the training sabers pissed me
off.
off.
Not even that.
Clink, 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 clink.
It was when it's in the second book. There, it's not the. I think it's when Valorum and which, by the way, I had to DM Marvel Purist and ask him, did they mess up with the name of the Chancellor? Yeah, I mean, Chancellor Valorum. I mean, I was like, that.
Yeah, it wasn't super original, but they didn't mess up.
Yeah. And so it's before. I think it's when they're on the that ship on the way to wherever the planet was, and there's that beeping noise because he's near something, or so it gets real
proximity alarm or something.
Beep, beep.
I see.
Beep, and it goes for like 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. So
dude, you're gonna love the way the third book starts. Oh my god!
I can't wait. I'm gonna start tomorrow during work.
Good.
I'll probably finish
you know what I'm talking about?
I actually I forget.
Awesome.
Sorry. I've only read through them once, so
he's standing on the balcony of his castle.
Yes.
Dude. Yeah. That's all you get. You don't know what he's doing.
Okay. He's probably
Yes,
doing Zeta.
I do know what you're talking about. No.
But it is
The
fucking
fuck, Caleb?
sick.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Mm.
Yeah, that is one of my. This story is is up there as one of my favorite Star Wars stories ever
It's
made.
so good.
It's
So good.
And I love Heir to the Empire. So this one though is just it hits differently. I think it does, but I don't think they could do it. I really don't.
No.
I don't. It's too dark. They're not gonna.
When
Dude's a murderer.
Yeah. When Mando first came out, I was like, oh, because I seen what they did with Mando with the first season, and I was like, do Bane, do Bane, do Bane, do Bane, and then
Don't touch it.
now we're where we're at now. It's no touchy,
Yeah.
Yeah. No touchy, no feely.
So this is the thing, if the problem with these stories that with all of these stories that Disney has done in the last 6 years is they had these plans and they finished them, and all of a sudden they were like, oh, well, the only thing we know how to do is princesses.
crappy stories.
So they started with these, very decent, very good, especially with Marvel. They started with really good movies. And then they just started being crap because they didn't know where they were going anymore.
Right.
So
lack of direction.
Exactly. So if the thing is, a change in leadership is coming. So what we'll need, what's up, Matt? What we'll need to see before we can say that this should be done is we'll need to see what that change does and what stories we get out of that change. If, like, let's say, tomorrow we find out that Ryan Condal, who is the writer for House of the Dragon, has been hired to be the new executive creator of Lucasfilm, that Kathleen Kennedy is out, and the guy from HBO from 4 years ago, I forget his name, is the new studio head of Lucasfilm, which apparently there's there's conversations about. And first off, I will be super psyched because that would be awesome. Dave is going to be in charge of animation. He's going to do his own little I want to tell my Ahsoka stories that end up with me getting to have her in bed and all that kind of shit. He's going to go do that shit. But Ryan's going to come in and he's going to write the well, you can't do Heir to the Empire because that trilogy. Well, I mean, you could still put Heir to the Empire in there before the sequels, can't you?
Everything leads there.
You could have. I don't know about it anymore.
It's already bastardized.
Yeah, so, it's kind of fucked now.
If all you really have to do is retcon a season of Ahsoka, I think we'd be fine with that.
I don't think that's in the cards at all.
We get announced Ryan Cohn's going to come in and write the story for Heir to the Empire. It's going to be Timothy Zahn is coming in to do this with him. All that. That's going to be stuff to look at and be like, look, these are two big things or two big moves by Lucasfilm to fix stuff. Then in 3 years, when the first movie comes out, we'll know whether or not the changes are good. But any change they make, first off, any change is going to be probably a year away, probably more. But we won't know if that change has worked for another 3 years after that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're looking at any sort of hope being 2030.
Yeah, I can agree. But I wouldn't be opposed to Caleb, I don't think you're super into anime at all, but if you let some anime studios, like maybe not Darth Bane, because I think that should be a bigger broadcasted story, but like there are certain things with Visions even, but like you can have an anime style show, uh, or just a straight up anime show that is Star Wars, and and I think it could be done really well. I mean, you're talking something that might have 200 episodes or something like that, over a course of a couple of years. I mean, it could be like a second coming of the original Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree with that. There are a
Bro, they
few,
already retconned the EU.
huh?
They already retconned the EU. They're not retconning the EU. They already did it.
They're continuing
Well,
to
yeah,
do it. There's so many stories.
yeah.
I mean, they're just that was the point I was making. They're continuing to do it. They're not retconning anything that they've made. Um, but
Yeah.
past that, I think you're right, dog. They could definitely make some cool stories with under an anime studio rather.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I don't really see that doing well. Like Visions should have been one storyline done under anime,
Yes.
not a
Yes.
culmination of different animation
Mhm.
studios. Like the idea was too grandiose. What they should have done is like simplified that, grabbed like one
They didn't.
studio that's really good and create a storyline that we could follow to be the the next coming of Clone Wars. But
They
they
didn't
dropped the
want it
ball.
to. They didn't want it to succeed. They just wanted people to sign up for Disney Plus to see this what it potentially could have been. You know what I mean? It just. I mean, did season two even continue any of the storylines from season one?
No. No.
I didn't watch that. But
I didn't.
I
I didn't
won't lie.
either. But
Dude, there were like 3 solid episodes in Vision season 1 that
yeah,
could have done some
I
seriously
agree.
cool stuff. Like
I agree.
the Ninth Jedi, I think it was called, right? And then
Mace Windu is
the
dead.
duel.
Get over it.
The duel was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
And both the animation style and the story was sick.
yeah.
They just should have made one, like, dude, if they did a whole story based off of the duel, I think that's what it was called, right?
Hmm.
Where the old dude with the 2 mini lightsabers, like, bro, if they did a whole story revolving around that Jedi and that Padawan and that Sith, oh my god,
Yeah.
I like. But again, we're talking in a perfect world, right?
Right. Right.
So let's return to our fallen imperfect world and um unfortunately move the needle over from the lightsaber we got there down one to the sword of truth. So as some people may know, Netflix acquired the rights to Chronicles of Narnia, which are the novels of one of the greatest Christian writers of all time, C.S. Lewis. And the hang on. And
Yeah, I was
so
gonna
do what?
say. I was gonna do that. Just go on.
Yeah.
Just go on.
And for a while, the only news that we had was that that Netflix had the rights. We now know who is writing and I think directing. I think she's doing both. Hang on 1 second. So Greta Gerwig is going to write and direct 2 of the Narnia movies. Now, what that probably means is she is writing and directing The Magician's Nephew, which, while The Magician's Nephew was written in between the 6th and 7th book, it is chronologically the first book because it gives you information on how Narnia was created. And I if you don't remember, Greta Gerwig is the chick that did the Barbie movie.
Oh God.
And the thought of her touching Narnia terrifies me.
Yeah, that terrifies me too.
Um,
I'm not the biggest Narnia buff either. I read
So-
like the first two books.
I like the original movies.
yeah,
I read the first 2 books. That's it.
And that's the thing. I love those first 3 movies. They are excellent. You want to talk about a 1-to-1? There's like 5% that's different in the first one. There's a little more that's different in the second and third ones they do, but they're all 3 of them are above probably 80% of accuracy to the books. And what bugs me though is we get articles like this. What Netflix's Chronicles of Narnia reboot needs to avoid to succeed. And first off, they talk about how Disney's Narnia trilogy received mixed reviews. That's not true. Most of the people that saw all 3 movies loved them. They just didn't do well. They didn't make a lot of money, which is why the 4th movie got canned, because the 3rd one didn't make a lot of money because a lot of people didn't go see it. The people that went and saw it liked it. What bugs me is that this article claims that the religious themes in Narnia need to be basically turned off. And the thing that's so annoying is, and you saw this with Rings of Power as well, that you cannot take stories written by people like Tolkien and Lewis and remove the very identity of themselves that they put in it.
That's the argument I was going to make.
Lewis is by far the greatest Christian apologist of all time. And one of the greatest authors. Books he has written and his story is, because if you don't know, Lewis was actually an atheist for a very long time. And it was actually his friendship with Tolkien that made him change his mind and start to believe. And so this story was actually a story that he wrote for his I'm gonna get this wrong. I think it was a niece. Lucy was the name. I think Lucy was his goddaughter. And he wrote this story so that he would have a story to tell his kids. And he realized that one of the reasons that he grew up the way he did and was an atheist for so long was because he had not had a story that showed the redeeming qualities of faith and belief. And so that's what he wanted to make for his kids and children all over the world. And the fact that this studio or these people at Game Rant, which I'm going to assume is supposed to be some sort of like video game version of Screen Rant, Callan Carter thinks that you need to remove the author's identity from a story. It just blows my mind. And so I know both of y'all said, or I know Damien say you're not really, a Narnia guy, but
I read the first 2 books.
Yeah, but you understand this type of thing. You get why the author's vision is important.
Well, so
as do you, dog.
You know by now. I was raised in a very Catholic home, so this this subject when I was reading those books and talking to my dad about them. Aslan, right, is the name of the
Yep.
line, right? So Aslan, me and my dad were discussing this back when I was like pretty young, but we were discussing Aslan and the sacrifice he made and how it correlated with Jesus and dying on the cross to forgive our sins and the resurrection, and how Aslan's story arc really it's a symbol of Jesus Christ, right? And the Savior, right?
Unlike Tolkien, Lewis really laid into the allegory.
Yeah, and you know what? It was something at growing up Catholic was something I could relate to, because that was going to Sunday school and religion class. It was something that I was really it was interesting seeing a different take on it in a fantasy world, right? So to strip that for a modern audience, in my opinion, it's a little sickening. It's disrespectful to the source material, even if you don't.
Well, and what
Even if
they'll
you're not.
do is Aslan ended up being a lioness, and the Pevensey children
And a
would be
hyena.
Look,
immigrants from.
but even if you're, what I was saying is like, even if you're not religious, it's just disrespectful to the source material, right? Like, to change.
Yeah, like you don't have to draw those parallels anyway. It's still a good story and a good,
Cheese miser. The copyright is not held by Netflix. Netflix bought the rights. The copyright's still held by the Lewis estate for another 20 something years, I believe. And one of the great ways of understanding whether or not someone understands what Chronicles of Narnia is about is how they talk about what happens to Susan. So Daimyo hasn't read it. Dog, I'm assuming you haven't read them. So
nope.
Susan, but you have seen the movies.
I've seen the films.
Aware, Susan kind of, when she gets back, or just before they get back to Narnia the second time, she's already ready to move on. She wants to go be an adult and is ready to, grow up. And so when she gets back to Narnia, she's kind of upset because she's like, "Oh, I had grown up. I was ready to put this childish stuff behind me, and now I have to be back here." So everyone else stays really pro Narnia, and she moves on with her life. She, she dates, she gets married, and all this stuff, and she's no longer a kid. I don't remember if she actually gets married, but she becomes a teenager and moves on and starts doing teenager things. She doesn't live in a fantasy world anymore. And so in the last book, when the King of Narnia needs help, he starts kind of like chanting, "I need help. I need help." I kind of forget what he actually says, but he screams to the heavens that he needs help. And suddenly before him, the kings and queens of old appear before him. Peter, Edmund, Lucy, not Susan, and the two, the professor and I forget. Oh, and Peter's cousins and Jane Poole from Silver Share. So all these people from Earth that had been in Narnia appear before him, and they're like this committee to help Narnia. But Susan's not there because she has moved on. And so all these people basically go to a train station to try to figure out how they're going to help. And there's a train crash and they all die. And so Lucy realizes that the reason Susan isn't there is because they have died and gone to heaven. And so she won't see Susan ever again. because Susan has moved on with her life and no longer believes. And so you get these apologists that say things like, this is most apparent in Susan's ending in the books, as she is not welcome back in Narnia with the rest of her siblings after living her life for herself and not for the belief in a world that dismissed her when she was a child. The reason it's most evident in that is because that's not what Aslan says. Aslan says that she's not currently welcome, but at any point will become welcome again when she realizes that Narnia will always be there for her. And what bugs me is you get people that either they read this stuff and they have like a third grade understanding of life, like, half of Hollywood now, or all they do is they read what Vox or their daily MSNBC storyline tells them that a story says, and they think that's the truth. So it bugs me that we've got this article here saying, you need to remove the religious aspects from someone that clearly hasn't even read the damn book.
Right.
Or read the fact that C.S. Lewis always wanted to write another book where Susan actually got there.
It's kind of the name.
I like what Law says here. These people are tourists. They don't actually like the things they work with. They just like the popularity of it.
Well, that's kind of what I was saying. Look at the major fails of these IPs as of this year, and a lot of them are like, oh yeah, I never read, like the actors and actresses mind boggles me the most. It's like, okay, it's pretty bad if you're writing a story and you don't read the source material. That's pretty bad. But if you're playing a character written from it, how are you deriving any form of connection to that character?
No, they got to make it their own. It's their character now.
So weird, though.
Have you seen?
So weird.
Have you seen that stuff lately? Okay, this is gonna take me a little bit, so y'all keep.
The Grand Inquisitor. How he just made his own.
That's a very good one. The Grand Inquisitor. Yep. The guy didn't. Said, I'm pretty sure he came out and said, like, yeah, I'm not gonna. Maybe it was a public statement that he was asked to do, but he formally said, I'm not gonna like. And look, he actually didn't do a horrible job. It still felt like the Grand Inquisitor, but like didn't look like him at all. First of all,
that was a big.
A
lot of people were able to move past that. But,
I'm never gonna move past that.
Not me. What? That's not even close. What?
We had live action Pawns already.
Yeah.
Already.
That was terrible.
We had those aliens. They didn't even try to make it look like that.
Not even close.
John, I sent you the link if you want to hop on.
Boys, I'm going to have to crash here in a little bit.
Okay, can you give me 30 seconds to go to the bathroom and then get out of here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, here are two examples of what I was talking about, or what we were talking about with the self-inserts and stuff like that. So we've got Mindy Kaling and Velma right here. The very definition of a self-insert. And then we've got the new Amanda. Oh, hang on. There we go. We got the new Amanda from the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles right here. And what's her name that helped write the damn show. So and then you've got what's her name from Rings of Power sitting there saying it felt so great being able to see myself in this world. And it's like, oh, that's great. It wasn't written for you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
or what's that girl that recently got fired for the Snow White thing?
Did she get fired?
I think so.
I haven't look. I saw the video. I haven't seen anything that actually said she got fired.
I don't know.
Are we
The
on
people
Rachel
that
Zegler
we
now?
all, yeah, the people that we all watch. I mean, I haven't watched their videos either, but everything indicates that she got fired. But yeah, she was one in the same breath of twisting the character to their own thoughts and portrayal instead of honoring the character and doing it justice.
I love how like one of the best lines from the original Snow White is, I actually don't remember what the line is, but they make fun of it in Shrek, the whole mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. And that's going to be Gal Gadot asking the mirror who's the fairest of them all. And the mirror is going to have to say Rachel Zegler. Are you kidding?
Also the other one, the Huntsman one, where it was Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
And Kirsten Stewart. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. I mean,
I like Kirsten Stewart.
Come on.
I won't lie.
Yeah, but Charlize Theron, like shit.
I've never seen.
No, Charlize Theron is bad.
I've actually never seen Kirsten Stewart in anything.
Kirsten Stewart is
Twilight.
She's pretty.
Never seen it.
I like her. She's pretty hot. Not in comparison though.
She's pretty boy-like, but okay.
Maybe personality-wise. I don't think looks-wise.
Would you like to guess?
Okay, come on. You chose like the one. You chose
it is
one
the
photo.
Third photo.
Fucking go to images. Long hair. She didn't always look like that.
Those are old.
You
Those are old.
Asshole.
Well, it's the trend, and it's cool to be confused nowadays.
Dickhead, dude. You're a fucking dickhead. Yeah, long hair, looking like a normal woman.
That's
not bad.
That's one of Daimyo's exceptions, right there.
She's not a dude. And she doesn't have a pickle between her legs.
Yeah,
a pickle.
If you're gonna make an exception, at least she's got
right.
At least she has the right the right physical orientation, correct?
As far as we know, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't sew a sausage between the legs and say you're a dude.
Well, it might rot, but yeah. We need the conspiracy music.
Fuck you, dude.
I can't wait for you to use those.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Okay, guys. I think we're gonna call it. We I don't really have.
We only got through 2 swords.
Do what?
We only got through 2 swords on your wheel.
Oh well, I mean, it's not going to change every.
Stay tuned next time.
Yeah, it's not going to change every week. It's that's the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
We'll
so
anything
you got the most important sword in all of mythology. You got the lightsaber, Anduril, the Sword of Truth, Longclaw, Sword of Godric Gryffindor, and then Altair's sword from Assassin's Creed. Because suddenly I realized there aren't really many video games with swords.
Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed had to make do. What's up, Ronnie?
You could have done Johnny Depp's sword too.
Yeah, but it's just a rapier. It's just a
wait.
Yeah, but it's special.
Say that again.
Rapier?
Huh?
I think I said it right the first time.
Row up.
Raper.
No, I said rapier.
Oh, no.
I did not say that.
It's been fun, guys.
Everyone, thank you so much for stopping by. Ronnie, sorry you missed it. Pilgrim, Crimson Law, Cheese Miser, John, all y'all. Thank you so much. Leslie Tarkin means a lot. I will be back hopefully with some more great Daimyo Dog, some other great people next week. Have fun.
Heck yeah.
Later, guys.
Hit like.